But here's what's important. If you want to get married, don't put the issue on God, where you expect some sort of a supernatural thing to happen. Now, don't misunderstand me. In all fairness, sometimes supernatural things happen. There are stories where people supernaturally get revealed, they should marry some other person. I mean, I get that. I've heard those stories. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. I think there's a reason for those stories. But stories that are unusual are not the norm. Most people, if they want to get married, are not going to have anything supernatural about it, precisely because marriage is about the natural world. It's not about eternity. Most need to move toward the idea of marriage like a farmer moves toward, trying to get a harvest in a field. I mean, certainly a farmer could sit down and say, now, Lord, maybe you want me to have corn, maybe you don't. And I'm really open. I just want to surrender my field to you, and I'm open to you supernaturally moving in my field. And, because it is possible some kind of a wind could go through a farmer's, next-door neighbor's, barn and pull up a little bunch of seed and carry it into the air and drop it on your field, and you could have a little patch of corn there and go, God be praised. There is such a thing as a supernatural harvest. Right? But for most farmers, they don't sit around waiting for God to plant their field. They till the soil, they plant in season, they hope for the best, they work with sweat, and there's a good maybe that the farmer gets a harvest and that person's excited about it. That's basically the way that most people that approach marriage need to approach it. They can't make this a supernatural thing. Now let me give you several little natural things you can do to put in motion, to till your ground, and to plant some corn, and see if you can, if you're interested in harvesting a relationship that can be for the rest of your life. So number one is if you're thinking about getting married, you'd like to get married, you've decided, Paul talked about it being a gift to be married, a gift not to be married, and you're sure you got the gift of marriage. And the reason he said that you could really know is if you have this sense of passion. You have a sexual drive, you have a sense of passion, you want to be with somebody else, and some of you, the force runs strong in your family. You want to get married, right? Okay, so the first thing you need to decide, if you decide that, I want to get married, is ask yourself if you're ready to get married. And this may sound really simple, but the reality is, are you mature enough for a committed relationship? Are you emotionally mature enough? Are you spiritually mature enough? Are you socially mature enough? The reality is this isn't really age triggered. Some 19-year-olds are more mature than some 29-year-olds. So it isn't really an age thing. It has to do with what's going on in your soul. Are you settled and are you happy enough to get married? The reality is if you're an unhappy person, you make an unhappy married. If you're a lonely single, you'll be a lonely married. Marriage is not a fix, nor can you fix the other person by marrying them. Okay? In fact, those of you that are married, there's many, many testimonies in here that would tell you marriage is not a fix. In fact, it is a revealer of what's worst about you. And so you really have to be honest. It isn't like you think, oh gosh, I'm really lonely. If I could just get married, I know I'd be happy if I could just. Dude, if you're not happy now, you will not be happy married. You've got to struggle through. You've got to figure out how to live well. That may take you a while. Right? There was a gal when I was doing college ministry back in the 70s. Sweet gal. And her life was a little mixed up. She was a real emotional kind of basket case and very pretty girl. But she was disheveled. Her life was out of control. And I'm sitting there talking to her one night, and she is boo-hooing. And I'm looking at her name was Sandy. I said, Sandy, God is for you. No, God's not for me. She was just crying. I just am so mad at him. He won't tell me what I'm supposed to do. And I can't get him to tell me anything. And she's telling her she's eating bonbons, Yeah, she's losing it. But, she's crying and eating candy, chocolate. Anyway, I'm sitting there watching her, shaking my head. So, Sandy, God is not against you. She finally stopped, Well, chocolate in her mouth. Well, she goes, what I really want is to get married. I just want to be married. That's what I really want. And God won't give me a husband. And I remember this thought came to me. I'm not sure it was God. It was just me making it up. But this thought came to me. If a guy that was compatible with you, I mean, the way you are, in terms of, No, wait. Let me back it up. Whoever would be the best person to marry her, she probably wouldn't want to marry at the time. Or the guy that really would be compatible with her if she was cleaned up a little bit wouldn't recognize her. They'd pass like ships in the night. He'd look and go, boo. And it might be a perfect connection, right? See, the reality is if you want to get married, you got to work on you. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if you think you are ready, then dare to look. If you feel like you're in a season where you're healthy, you feel like, this might be a time for me to get married, or might be a time to pursue this. If you really feel you're ready in that, you need to look in your own garden. Quit thinking that God is going to supernaturally bring somebody into your life with sparkles or something. Probably the person that you would be most acclimated with, most able to connect with, is probably already in your life. Well, I don't know anybody like that. Probably what I'm suggesting to you is that some of the people who are the most possible, you don't recognize immediately. There's a guy that was in our church in Wisconsin, and his name was Matt, and he was a very busy executive kind of guy, he's so focused on his life, so focused on his work, that he never spent any time looking to date girls. And so he just focused and building and doing all this stuff and constantly busy. And he finally came to see me, and he was about 32, felt like he was an old guy. He was about 32, he sat there, he said, look, I don't have any prospect. I don't know what to do. God's not brought anybody in my life. Well, see, he was expecting God to say, Matt, look to your left. There she is. Angels singing. And I said, dude, you got to look for a wife. No, I think God will give it. No, God's not going to give you. Women deserve to be looked for, not just given to you because you're an idiot. And I said, I bet you, since you feel this push in your heart, I bet you the person that you could marry that's compatible with you is in your life right now. No way, no way. I said, I'm telling you, I bet you she's in your life right now. So he was thinking a little bit, and then I said, who is it? He told me your name. He said, no way, it's not her. I said, why? Well, she didn't look the way I'd expect her to look. See, in his mind, he had a Hollywood view of something. I said, wait, you don't find her attractive? Well, I find her, okay. That's all you need. Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. Anyway, so he found this girl. Now they're happily married, have a truckload of kids, and happily ever after. So the point is that sometimes the person, when you're ready, the person that you are most appropriately ready to marry is already in your world.